in order to really be successful in this game is you got to be the best loser possible. I will say strategy is probably about 10%, but it is super important that you get that down first. Once you have it, you believe in it, then you work on yourself. And once you work on yourself, sky's the limit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another TFT interview. Today I have the pleasure to host Travis, who comes from Michigan. Welcome, Travis.
Welcome. How's it going?
Good. How's it going too?
Going well. I'm excited to be here with you and all of TFT.
It's my pleasure to have you here. So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into trading?
Yeah, so Travis, 29 years old, about to be 30 here in April. I started a little over 8 years ago in trading. I was with a network marketing company in college. I was doing really well. And then all of a sudden overnight, that company shut down. So my income basically went to zero overnight. So I kind of promised myself that I'm never going to rely on anything else or anybody else to make money for me. So I was trying to way to do that on the side and make my money work for me. I started watching some YouTube videos and learned about investing and all of that. And I think a little over 8 years ago, I bought my first stock. And the next day I checked it and it was only up like 2 cents. And I was like, well, this is boring. I don't want to do this. I want to be able to make money. So I started to kind of play around with some penny stocks, did not do very well for a year or two, but stuck with it. And then I had like one trade that just went, I think I had like $300 into it and it went to like 5,000 within like a week. And so I was like instantly hooked like that. And then I went from there. I went to start trading options and crypto, and then kind of fell in love with Forex because I could trade a whole basket of things, whether that be index, Forex, as well as crypto as well. So, kind of found my niche and stuck with it over the last couple of years.
So you've kind of traded everything possible.
I really have, yeah. Trying to find, that my sweet spot, what works for me. So I dabbled in a little bit of everything.
Wow. And what kind of trader are you? Are you a day trader, a scalper?
Yeah, so more scalping within the day. I used to do a little bit more swing trades where I hold for 4 hours, maybe a day, maybe two. But I found more consistency and more something that was better for my personality. I think everybody needs to find their own strategy that works not only for everybody that can try it, but actually works for their personality as well. So I've been finding some of my best trades and best trade setups have been coming on a lot smaller time frames than I used to trade. So I've just been sticking with what works.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little bit about your learning curve? Did you learn everything by yourself, or you joined like communities? You had any mentors?
Yeah. So throughout my journey, I've definitely been here and there. I've had just a few different like mentorship programs that I've tried. I've, been part of a few different trading communities and really kind of took and piecemealed everything together and kind of really made it my own. I'm not currently with anything or anybody, but still plugging away with all the knowledge base that I've learned throughout the whole process. So I'm definitely not against anything like that, any communities, any mentorships, but just currently I kind of took and ran with what I've got right now.
What did you struggle with the most in your trading journey, and how did you overcome those struggles?
Yeah, so I would say I struggled the most with holding on to losing trades. I think the hubris kind of get the best of everybody when you got a perfect setup, everything looks great, you enter it, and then it starts going against you, and then you really have two choices at that point: do you admit, number one, that you're wrong, or number two, let's hold it, see what else happens, see if we can at least get back to break even, see if we can at least make a little bit of profit. And that mentality really, really hurt me for, a number of years where I just, I felt like I was right. And the problem with that is that's not always the case. So I think over the last year, I've been kind of putting it up on my board and in my head that, in order to really be successful in this game, is you got to be the best loser possible. Like you really have to understand that, if I'm a better loser than, Joe Schmo over here that's just starting, I'm going to win in the long term because he's going to hold his trade longer. She's going to hold their trade longer. They're going to blow up their account. And if I just say, hey, I'm a better loser, I'm going to cut this right now, I can look for a better opportunity. And maybe that, trade that I had set up will work out, but I'll find a way better entry once this thing drops, 200-300 more points. So
yeah. And how is your psychology towards trading? What have you done to improve it?
Yeah, so a lot of honestly, YouTube has been a godsend for me with that. There's been, obviously, Mark Douglas is huge, trading in the zone. Really been kind of taking his word as Bible with trading, and just finding a lot of people, whether it be trading or not, that's really just getting in my head and then telling me that stick to your plan, stick to your strategy. And don't give up, really, at the end of the day. If you have something that works and you trade it for, a long term, you're going to be successful if you don't give up. So it's really, just plugging away and sticking to that.
And do you have any daily routine, like before you start trading, and if you do any meditation? Because I know that many people are practicing many mindfulness techniques. Do you do something like that, or?
I currently do not. I think long term, once I do this full time, I'm sure I will have to create some type of routine like that. But I currently work full time as well. So doing the morning routine for getting ready for work is also getting ready for trading too. So there's nothing too crazy, nothing out of a book that I do for that. But I think, again, long term, I would love to. Yeah.
And you said you have a full-time job as well, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. And how do you find it difficult to find stability, to stay focused on the charts when you know that you have lots of other tasks aside?
100%. I love my job. I love what I do, but there's definitely a lot of meetings that goes on that I find aren't always helpful when I'm in a trade, especially, like I said, I'm a little bit smaller time frame trader. Mm-hmm. So it definitely can get in the way, and it definitely can screw with your psychology when, you have a perfect setup and you put in all your risk parameters and then you go into a meeting and lose the trade. It's just, there's nothing that you would have done any different when you were watching the charts, but it's just something about like, wow, I wasn't there and I lost. Like I could have done something, even though I probably couldn't.
Thinking maybe I would have seen any sign, closed it earlier.
Correct. Correct. Like you beat yourself up a little bit about it, but yeah, it's definitely hard to manage the both. But luckily I'm in a job where I can have my phone in front of me and a chart up on the screen in the background if I needed to. So.
And what are your future goals with trading and in life in general?
Yeah. So trading, by the end of this quarter, so I guess the end of this month, in all the different prop firms that I'm with, to have over $1 million in funding, which once I pass this 300,000 next week, hopefully, I'll be at $1 million. And so I'm very excited for that. My goal is to then stash away 4 years of normal income from my normal job. And once that is tucked away, I'm going to go back to school full time. And so I'm just going to be trading and going back to school to get, all my degrees and all of that and rock and roll with it. And hopefully, obviously the profits will pay for themselves over the long term. And I won't have to pull from that money that I saved. And it's obviously the dream and the goal, but I wanted to have it there so I can at least have that mentality of backup and be okay with that.
How do you feel knowing that you are gonna have $1 million to manage soon?
It's surreal, honestly. Like it's always been a goal to get to $1 million. And obviously before I found, these different prop firms, that was really just a crazy goal on the board that, one day we'll get there, but it's going to take a while. I mean, trading with, 5 to 10,000, getting to $1 million, trading it intelligently and smartly is not an easy task, and it would take some time to get there. But this has definitely allowed me that ability to do that much faster. So it's still not always real until, the profits hit the bank account, but it is real.
Yeah. And when you mentioned prop firms, how did you find TFT and how is your experience with us?
Yeah. So I initially started, I had just somebody on Instagram that was talking about prop firms, and my past experience with prop firms when I first started trading 8 years ago was vastly different from what they are right now. Like back then you had to have all these different licenses, and it was your capital that you had to put up through all your, so to speak, challenges. So if you lost it, you lost your money and you were done. and they weren't going to back you. And so it was far different then, but that was always kind of my mentality of what these were. And then, I heard from somebody on Instagram about like, what this is. And I asked a few questions and I was like, this is actually a way smarter way to do it. And I'm going to try it out. So I started with FTMO a little over almost a year ago now. Played with them for a little bit, and then obviously was with the idea of, wow, I can do more of these at the same time and scale my accounts even higher. And found TFT, and I really just liked, what they were about. Listened to a lot of things about Angelo on YouTube and stuff. And honestly, the barrier to entry was just a little bit easier for me with all the different promotions that you guys do, which are amazing. I was able to kind of get the bigger accounts going for a little bit less, and the payout percentage was better too. So definitely, you guys are at the top of my list.
Thank you for the nice words. So can you please tell us a little bit about your strategy? Like show us how you approach the markets, how you analyze, and
yeah, absolutely,
how you decide your TP, your stop loss.
So primarily throughout the whole journey, the 8 years or so, I've really been in love with the stock market and the way it moves, and what are the influences on it. So trading index is really my biggest thing. I'd say probably 90% of my trades on that. Especially I also trade gold a little bit too, and gold over the last week has been absolutely insane. So I've been hurt a little bit by that. So going back to what I know, my strategy is super simple. I trade the 3-minute, and I mix that with an RSI as well as the super trend indicator. That I have a little bit. I customize the super trend indicator a little bit, but mixing the two, that's really all I do. So what we have here is I put the replay back on Friday. So we're doing this interview on a Saturday. This was yesterday. So these are the trades that I actually took yesterday. So typically when I get up in the morning, I'm not able to get on the charts till about 8 a.m. So I'll kind of see what's going on at that point. But so this is basically when I started. So yesterday, what I'm really looking for is change of trend on the super trend. So we see here we have a sell bar and the flip of the RSI down here. So now I know what's happening. I'm really just looking for that quick reversal. My stop loss will be on 100 points, and my take profit's going to be 100 points. So it's going to be a 1-to-1. This strategy is about 75 or 70 to 80% on any given week. So I know, doing a 1-to-1 is not always the smartest thing. However, if the percentage is there from a win rate perspective, knock it out.
Yeah.
So as this is coming down, this is me in the morning. I'm just kind of watching it. Obviously, you see, what's happened here already on the take profit stuff, but watching it go down. So we see we're currently in a sell, and RSIs are flat. So I'm kind of looking for that next move down and a next move up. So currently here, we got the buy bar, and the RSI has completely flipped and has gone bullish. So I'm looking for one more confirmation candle, which would be that one. And now I'm into it. So at 8:54, I'm into the trade. And then again, I have 100 points to the downside. Oh, I guess this isn't quite down there, but 100 points to the side, 100 points to the side. And then I just let it go, and we'll see what happens. Oop. So it hit, and that was it. 100 points in and out. So I think that was a total of almost 40 minutes that I was in the trade. And honestly, I think this one happened on my way to work. So I entered it just as I was leaving, and before I even got to work, I made that 1% off of that. So that's 1 for 1 on the day. The next one, we are in a sell currently, so I'm maybe looking for it to buy. There we got the buy. I think I was actually not on the charts at the moment, so thankfully might have got a mixed signal there, but we're back on it now. There's the sell bar confirmation, let it rip. So that was another one. So I was 2 for 2. Obviously, you see the red X, we probably know where this is going. Same thing, flip on the RSI, buy bar. That one was a loss. And then I did still like it because I saw this, the RSI still moving up. And so I re-entered almost the same thing. We had the buy, we had the flip of the RSI here, confirmation, and then let that go, obviously take profit. And then we have another one down here. So I think Friday I went 4 for 5 on that. So pretty simple. Like I said, 3, I'm really looking for the flip of the RSI and my super trend indicators to say, hey, we're going to flip. Thankfully, things have been extremely volatile right now. So it's definitely been easier and you're getting a lot more trades.
Mm-hmm. So you're not doing any top-down analysis, right? You're just sticking to the 3 minutes.
So I do. I do have a little bit of a sense of what's going on. A lot of times I'll do this 1-to-1. However, if I know something's different, and like if I zoom out of this and I see, the 3 minutes doing the same thing as the 15-minute, the hourly, and everything is lining up, I might hold it for, a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1. And I think last Thursday I did that where I had a 1-to-1 originally marked up, but I saw everything was flipping on the 5-minute, 15-minute hourly. And I was like, well, let's ride this out. And I think it ran like 400 points. And that's where I went from like up 2 or 3R to up over 10R on the account. So it was, we have the ability to, change these a little bit if you see that something on a more macro end is moving around. And obviously we'll let those ones run. So. And I think the biggest thing with that is to have a little bit of profit in the account. Once you have a little bit of profit in the account, I don't mind letting trades run a little bit longer than I normally would. But I think that initial, that build up to a 3 to 4% increase on the account, and then you can let those some of those other ones ride a little bit.
Yeah, it's important to have a buffer so that your psychology can be kind of stable.
Correct. So I'm really, just churning in, churning out initially until I get to a certain point where I say, okay, if this loses or breaks even, I'm okay. But let's see, if this wants to run a little bit more based off some higher time frames, then I'll definitely let that happen. But initially, yeah, it's a lot more 3-minute based, 5-minute based, sticking to the in and out 1-to-1s.
Okay. And you mentioned break even. When do you put your stop loss to break even?
So typically I'm about 50 points in. With the market the last 2 weeks, you really haven't had the ability to do a break even. But typically on a normal market when things aren't, crazy and banks aren't failing left and right, once I get to 50 points, so half of where I need to get to, I'll put a stop loss at break even and let it ride. Or if, again, things on the higher time frames are churning like crazy in the same exact direction that you're looking at, I would then get to the 1-to-1 and then put the stop loss at break even and then see if you get a 2-to-1 or I'm sorry, a 1-to-2 or a 1-to-3.
Okay. So is US30 your favorite pair, or what are you trading mostly, and how did you choose your favorite ones?
Yeah, so I started with NASDAQ, I think a little over a year ago. And sometimes I'll play around with NASDAQ, but for some reason, US30 just seems to resist a little bit more than NASDAQ does. I think NASDAQ's just a little more volatile. SPX2 it's just a little more costly to do the SPY or the SPX, just because commissions are a little bit higher US30. So obviously you can do a little bit smaller lots in the US30 as opposed to SPX. So it's just a little cheaper. So that's kind of what I've stuck to as my bread and butter.
Okay, so are you only trading US30 on the funded account, or you trade also S&P?
I trade, I would say probably 90% US30. Again, I mess around a little bit with NASDAQ here and SPY here if it's available, and I will trade gold here and there too. But for the most part, US30, 100%.
And you don't trade any Forex pairs?
Not typically. If there's a long-term setup on the 4-hour, maybe I'll jump in something on a GU or a GJ, but more or less a 50-50 trader trading that. So what I've learned over the last couple of years is to stick with what works for me, and US30 and I get along pretty well. So that's what I stick with.
That's nice. It's kind of finding a partner in the market.
Exactly. Yeah.
What you like the most and what suits you the most.
Exactly. I'm this is my strategy. Who wants to follow it? And US30 is I'll do it. So
yeah. Okay. And about the RSI, I see it's a moving average in the RSI, right? The yellow.
Correct. Yeah. So this is just what the RSI is normally. I think it's like 714.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it comes with the RSI. So I haven't changed anything on that.
So do you just wait for a break on the moving average, or you're looking also at overbought, oversold, and above 50, below 50?
Yep. So I'm more apt to take a trade if it's below the 30 line. However, I'm not super focused on that. I'm just more so focused on, quick momentum change, buy indicator, quick sell indicator, jump on that. So pretty simple. I like to say, again, keep it pretty simple with that. There's a few more things to it, like I said, that has just come with, a couple of years of experience on the charts that, I might jump into this, even if the setup's there, I might not jump into it just based off of some things that I know. But for the most part, I think if you extrapolated that data out over the course of a year, I've done a lot of back testing on it and it works pretty well. So again, it's usually like 70 to 80% accurate. So, again, if it works, I'm going to knock it out.
Yeah, that's amazing. And have you noticed a drastic, big change during the years of your trading on the market conditions? And did you have to do adjustments because of those changes?
100%. I mean, prior to COVID, I think US 30 was on a good day doing like 150 points on a good day. And now that's doing that within a couple minutes, sometimes, some days. Like after COVID, it's just been so crazy. So definitely had to scale down the amount of lot size and just understand when volatility is coming. I think that's the biggest thing too, is I always have my Forex calendar in front of me every single morning. I'm like, okay, what's happening today? Is this going to drastically move the markets? Am I not going to take this trade because, CPI is going to drop in 10 minutes or whatever? Yeah. And just being keen to know what's going on. Whereas, before I'd get into something and be like, how in the world did that just jump up 300 points within 2 minutes, and just have no idea. But now that I understand what's going on, what actually moves the markets today, and studying from a macro level definitely helps as well.
So you don't trade news, you're just checking the fundamentals too?
I try to stay far away from news as I can. So CPI comes out. I've had amazing days trading CPI, but I've also had some brutal days trading CPI. So it's really a 50-50 crapshoot of how the market's really going to respond. So I try to stay away from it if I can. If I'm like maybe 10 points away from a take profit and I know something's coming up, I'm probably going to close it realistically. Or even if I'm in a small loss, I'll probably close it because it's just not worth it. To me, there's so many opportunities that will come up in the next couple of days or next couple hours after that drops for me that I've gotten to a point in my life where it's not worth it.
Yeah, I think that most of the traders are avoiding the news just because of such kind of experiences.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And what advices would you give to new traders that are just getting started?
Yeah, I would say find what works for you. This works for me very well. There's thousands of strategies out there that work for the person that created the strategy. And it's going to work for you if you copy paste with them. But for the rest of your life, you're not going to be tied to that person. The rest of your life, you're not going to be getting alerts from that person that does that exact strategy. So you have to find, and if that works for you and you know when to enter, when to close it, then absolutely knock it out. But if you can find and kind of fine tune your own strategy, and it might be 90% identical to one that you've learned, but if you can fine tune it to your personality, your time frame, how many times you want to trade in a certain day, figure that all out and then build your strategy around that. And then once you have your strategy down and you feel confident with it and you've back tested it hundreds of times and that's yours, then you work on the bigger stuff. Then you work on your psychology, because I will say strategy is probably about 10%, but it is super important that you get that down first. Once you have it, you believe in it, then you work on yourself. And once you work on yourself, sky's the limit.
Yeah. How are you dealing with a losing streak?
It's tough. It's still
confidence with the strategy. I know that every single strategy has a losing streak. So how do you deal with such?
100%. Yeah. I think that's still a work in progress for me. Losing streaks, they'll get anybody down. But I think just, again, falling back on yourself and understanding that, okay, I've back tested this a million times. I know that I might be in drawdown right now. I know that I'm losing, this day. For me, if I lose like 2-3 trades a day, I'm like, okay, today's just not the day for me in this strategy. So I'd like to kind of step away. If I lose 3 trades, like that's a big deal for me in a row. And so I'll step back and say, okay, we're going to hit it again tomorrow. We know the strategy works. I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to feel a little bit better tomorrow. And also for me, that's just me personally, when I come back, when I'm on a losing streak and I sleep on it, the next day I'm like, let's go. Like we're ready to get this back. And I just become a different person when I, sleep on a couple losses. So it's not easy. I don't think it's easy for anybody, but again, I think it comes back to what I said earlier, and it's just become a better loser and understand that comes with the game, comes with the territory, and stick to your guns. And long term, if you know that it's going to work out, take a day, sleep on it, come back to the charts, knock it out the next day.
Yeah. And do you have any targets? How much are you, by the way, risking? Because you have said you are taking a couple of trades per day. Do you have a fixed risk per trade, or you're playing with the risk depending on the confluences you have?
Yep. So I adjust that as I go. So I start out doing 0.5% risk every trade. That might be big for some people. For me, it works. Once I'm up 5% in the account, then I'll move that to 1% per trade. And again, comes with the territory, depending on how you are as a person. That's just how I am as a person. Once I hit a certain level, I'm like, let's scale this up. Yeah. And then once I get to 10% or a little bit higher, I'll actually start doing the opposite, or I'll come down and go back down to 1% or 0.5% or even less to keep that profit. Because obviously we know that that's why we're here at the end of the day, is to pull money from that market.
Yeah, that's true. Any last words that you would like to share with us?
I would just say, if you're finding this, if you're struggling with this strategy, to just keep plugging away. This is the easiest. I don't want to say the easiest. This is the best opportunity that you could have if this is something that you want to do. You have a firm that's going to back you. You're going to have the ability to scale up your account almost as much as you want, and you're going to be able to profit off of your ability to understand these markets and execute your strategy. There's nothing else, I'd say, on the face of the earth where you can go in and it's just you versus you. And if you follow what you are setting out to do, you're going to win, and you're going to win a lot, and your life can completely change. So stick with it. Sometimes it might get hard, but understand who you are as a person and just keep going.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, for your time, for sharing your experience with us. It's been a pleasure. And I hope to have a follow-up with bigger payouts and with the maximum allocation soon. Yeah,
I hope so too. It's been a pleasure, Anna, and everybody in TFT. Keep grinding.
Thank you. And good luck with the verification.
Thank you very much.
That's all from today's interview. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't done that yet, and stay safe.